Next on Worcester News Tonight, Massport has chosen a new chair and he has ties to central Massachusetts. Plus, sobriety tests are no longer acceptable if a driver is suspected of being under the influence of marijuana. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. The Massachusetts Port Authority Board electing a new person to head the 7-member board, and he has ties right here in central Massachusetts. Sheriff Lou Evangelitis was unanimously voted in Wednesday to take the top spot. Evangelitis was appointed to the board by Governor Charlie Baker back in 2015 and is taking over the chairman's seat from Worcester attorney Michael Angelini, whose term has ended.
Lou brings a vast amount of experience in central Massachusetts and will be a strong voice for the Worcester Regional Airport and the transportation assets we have in central Massachusetts.
There's a lot of great momentum with Massport. It's a great agency and we're doing a lot of great things to help drive the economy, not only in the whole Boston area, but as well as out here and throughout New England.
Evangelitis says his goal is working together and finding out what all the board members' priorities are going forward. This week, the state Supreme Judicial Court rules roadside sobriety tests are no longer acceptable if a driver is suspected of being under the influence of marijuana. It's a ruling being cheered by some, but local police departments have concerns. Our Cam Jandro joins us now live with the details. Cam?
Anna, marijuana will soon be legal here in Massachusetts. However, like alcohol, you cannot operate a vehicle while under its influence. But a court ruling on Tuesday says that police officers have a limit when they suspect a driver of DUI.
It's an enormous step backwards for law enforcement, but it's here and we have to deal with it.
Leicester Police Chief James Hurley does not agree with the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court. In a ruling Tuesday, the court says officers can't offer testimony of field sobriety tests if a driver is suspected of being intoxicated with marijuana. Hurley believes setting these limitations is a danger to the public.
And that's going to lead to more people out on the street driving vehicles that are impaired, and that there's going to be less that we can do about it.
The decision comes after a case in Millbury where a man was stopped by state police. He allegedly failed 2 field sobriety tests, and troopers suspected him of smoking marijuana. Attorney Gregory Casal practices OUI cases in Worcester. He agrees with the court, saying field sobriety tests are not an effective way to test for drugs.
Field sobriety tests just have not been consistently correlated to show that failure of these tests or questionable results of these tests correlate to the impairment of the driver.
The court said an expert witness would be required to determine whether or not a driver was under the influence of pot. As an attorney, Casal says the ruling works in his favor.
So I'm glad to see it come down. I think it was the right decision, and look forward to putting it to the test.
On the other side, Hurley says he's worried about the impacts of the ruling.
I'm not looking to be anti-marijuana or roll the law back. My concern becomes for the people that are out on the roadway now that can become the innocent victims of this.
Now, an important element in this case is the fact that field sobriety tests were specifically made for the consumption of alcohol. But in the courtroom, officers will be able to use their observations and assessments of the driver. Anna?
Thanks, Cam. The family of Molly Bish is reacting after hearing of a break in another cold case. Monday, police in western Massachusetts arrested a man for the murder of Lisa Zygarde 25 years ago. Our Brittany Schaefer spoke to Molly's mother and sister today. She has the story.
Anna, the Bish family says the development gives them hope they too will see justice. Molly Bish was 16 years old when she went missing 17 years ago. Her remains found 3 years later. The Bishes became close with the Zygarde family after Molly went missing. Both mothers spoke on the phone and are happy law enforcement has never stopped working on the unsolved cases. While the Bish family says there is less DNA evidence in Molly's case, they say they are still hopeful the killer will be caught.
One thing parents do is they want justice. You know, we couldn't protect them when we felt we needed to, but we never gave up. Our case is a little tougher because it took 3 years to find Molly and our evidence was less, but I think it does encourage and give you hope. You know, again, we've tried so many places, so many different avenues, I don't think we're ready to stop yet.
We're in this club that nobody wants to belong to, unfortunately. I don't think we can use the same DNA testing that was used in their case. However, it gives us hope that there will be testing someday. I know that we have pieces of our case that we'll leave to the person who did this to Molly.
Now, as for an update in Molly's case, Heather Bish says the family is still waiting to hear back on reports from a team searching underground in a campground for a link to Molly's murder. Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
Now to world news. More than 200 people have died after a massive earthquake in Mexico. And now a desperate search is underway at a Mexico City school. It collapsed after Tuesday's 7.1 magnitude earthquake. Firefighters, police officers, and volunteers have pulled at least 25 bodies from the school. All but 4 were children. Tonight, the hunt continues for dozens of missing children at the school. The earthquake hitting home for a local man. He lived through a deadly earthquake in Mexico more than 30 years ago, and he has family in Mexico City. Tonight, he's thankful his family is okay and is looking for a way to help out. Our Rosalind Flaherty has his story.
I feel their pain.
Omero Aronis gets emotional when talking about the devastation from a magnitude 7.1 earthquake destroying his home.
After all, they're my brothers and sisters.
The powerful earthquake struck central Mexico Tuesday afternoon. The Worcester resident has family in Mexico City and is thankful they're all okay. He's keeping in touch with them every chance he gets.
They felt it from the ground up, like they lift them up and they dropped them down and they shook the whole building.
Aroni says his sister is a teacher and had just finished an earthquake drill with students moments before it struck.
Some books shells knocked down, some the part of the building just maintenance.
According to the Mexican government, more than 200 people are dead, including 21 school children. Aronis' family sent him cell phone video showing roads completely destroyed.
They feel sad, and we all here, we feel the pain.
The powerful quake hit Mexico City on the anniversary of the 1985 earthquake, which killed thousands. Aronis remembers it when he was a teenager.
I felt it. I was in the shower. This was way in Veracruz, about 400 miles. We even felt it.
Aronis says he wishes he was there to help, but hopes the devastation will bring people closer together.
People are responding. There's a lot of volunteers that make me feel proud and good that we, after all we've been through, they're doing what they're supposed to do.
That was our Rosalind Flaherty reporting. Worcester police arrest a 50-year-old man Tuesday after responding to a fight involving 5 men. Police say 50-year-old Angel Rodriguez Morales was involved in the fight on Terrell Street. When officers responded to the scene, they saw the suspect walking away. They say he had 14 bags of heroin in his pocket. He was arrested and charged with possession of a Class A substance with intent to distribute. Well, with the holiday season right around the corner, UPS is gearing up for a busy delivery season by creating more job opportunities. The company says Wednesday it plans to hire about 95,000 seasonal workers to handle the increase in packages from November through January. According to UPS, over the last 3 years, 35% of the people UPS hired for seasonal packing handler jobs were later hired in a permanent position when the holidays were over. Well, as we've reported, Amazon is looking for a new city to host its second corporate headquarters. And tonight, we're hearing more about why some in Worcester think the city could meet all of Amazon's qualifications. As our Catherine Andrioli explains, it would fit well with Worcester's industrial history.
Worcester is throwing their hat in the ring to woo Amazon's second North America-based headquarters.
Ways 50,000 jobs stimulates the economy in many different ways, and I think would help with the development in terms of quickening the pace.
The company announced they're searching for a metropolitan area with an urban location and easy access to major highways, a 45-minute drive to an international airport, and a well-educated workforce. Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce President Tim Murray says Worcester could be a match. He says they've already mapped out a few potential locations.
Down at Gateway Park, a couple of pads that could accommodate the 250,000 square foot building. There's a remaining parcel at City Square that could accommodate a 200,000 square foot commercial office building.
Education, transportation access, tremendous office presence already, affordable living and a quality of life that is in some cases second to none.
The Worcester Historical Museum displays the city's rich history as an industrial hub. It's drawn large companies before, thanks in part to the city's prime location.
We have a train station, we have an airport, we're near a highway. It's not too long to get to Route 9, it's not too long to get to 495. So I would think the location of the city would be a perfect place for Amazon.
And to add in the thousands of college students who study here, it could make Worcester an attractive spot for the next Amazon HQ.
I mean, we've got more colleges than any city in the United States, so there's employment right there, seasonal employees, and I think it would be a draw for other companies.
They want a city kind of campus feel, and I think by integrating it in an interactive way with the city, we could accommodate many of their needs and blend it into much of the city's current fabric.
In Worcester, Catherine Andrioli, Worcester News Tonight.
Mass Development is purchasing the Money Stop Pawn Shop on Worcester's Main Street. It's part of the state's Transformative Development Initiative. The building is targeted for redevelopment. Today, Secretary of Housing and Economic Development Jay Ash announced the state plans to make investments in the property to fit in more with the new Theater District Alliance. Ash says the goal is to repair the building enough to make it suitable for another developer to purchase it.
Sometimes you'd like to do it just at one time and be done with it and over, but truly usually it's one block after the next block, sometimes one building after another building, and this is an important part of the overall picture.
Ash says he hopes mass development can help further develop downtown Worcester. The West Brookfield Fire Department receives funding from the Federal Emergency Management Agency to help protect first responders. Chief Brian Sharon says this is the first federal grant the department has received. He says the $134,000 will be used to buy firefighters breathing apparatus equipment. The chief says they'll replace older gear and it can help keep the men safe when responding to fires.
What that will allow us to do with new equipment is it will allow us to enter those burning buildings more safely. Again, we do have packs that are aging, and those are starting to become a service issue. We are very excited. Again, it's a huge purchase for us. It really is.
It's a very competitive grant program because there really isn't any other federal stream of funding to support these local city and town fire departments. We award, out of 10,000 applications, we only award about 2,000 awards each year.
Chief Sharon says they applied to this grant before, and he's thrilled a small town like West Brookfield was among the winners because the town wouldn't have been able to afford new equipment.